Okay, well, as ever, we will finish our conversation, sadly, with 7 quick questions, of which, as ever, require 7 quick answers. And we have had to tweak these slightly to fit in with today's theme. But our first question is one that our audience will know. What's the one thing you wish you'd known when you began your career? If there is anything you knew.
I don't know if there is. I think it's maybe that's a bit of a strange answer, but I think it's been a journey, and I think it's been a fantastic journey, a learning journey all the way through. So
Yeah.
I don't think I'd have wanted to know too much at the start. It's
Embracing all the ups and downs, and that makes it what it is. Yeah. Great. This one might be a bit more difficult. What's your favourite film or book about or featuring architecture, architects, historic buildings, heritage, if you have one?
Gosh, yeah. There is, I don't know so much of it as a film. There's probably plenty of films
TV
coming to mind, but no, there was a fantastic documentary, but it's maybe kind of it's architecture and archaeology on Pompeii that I don't know how many years ago, it was quite a while ago, and actually I went to the cinema to see it. I don't know how but it was amazing. It was right back on the history of Pompeii, and I would say probably there's lots of films where I've got buildings I like in it, but that documentary on Pompeii really stuck in my mind in terms of the development of Pompeii and obviously what happened in Pompeii and things like that. It was really, really interesting.
I would love for anybody in the comments below the video, if you have a favourite film or book about or featuring architects or architecture, let's see what it is, add it to the comments below. I did start to come up with 2 or 3, and I thought, yeah, well, let's see if anyone else can come up with anything. So
Sure.
I think the lake house is the character as an architect. I've got a feeling that in Decent Proposal, I feel like there's an architect. I think wasn't Woody Harrelson an architect in that? I might have imagined it. But definitely the lake house, that's an architect one.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's funny. I know some of my colleagues would probably give you hot fire, dung, 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 dung. But it's funny. The one time when I go and watch films, it's like, woof, that's my shut off point.
I think I've got a book. I want to say it's by someone called. He's definitely called Daniel. I want to say maybe like Leibovitz or something. He's an American architect. That is an amazing book.
Is that his autobiography?
Yeah.
I've read it. I've got one. It's a really good book. Very emotive.
Yes, it makes you want to be an architect. If maybe that's the inspiration for anyone who's thinking about a career, get that book and read it.
Yeah, no, yeah, that is a really good book.
Yeah. Okay, we've got diverted there. Question 3. What building anywhere in the world would you like to have had the opportunity to work on? Either when it was originally being constructed, or going in and kind of doing interventions now, either a building or even a cityscape.
That's a really tough one as well, because
I would say any period in history as well, so
so many buildings out there I admire. I could actually, do you know what, I'd probably I would go to Rome, and I would love to work on some of those buildings. I would love to, actually just take myself back in a wee time capsule to see the Colosseum going up, and I'd just sit there in my bubble and watch it. I think some of the in Rome, some of the churches, the Vatican, things like that, I could happily just sit and watch. I think, there's some there that would be amazing to work on. I would love to. And the challenges actually of a hot climate would be really quite interesting. There's also I'm not one that it has to be by this architect or I have to have this style. I kind of feel, again, there's a kind of natural flow on what buildings I like. When I was over in Cuba, there's some amazing buildings out there as well in terrible, terrible conditions. And I would love to on them, don't particularly know who designed them, who built them, possibly not anyone that's got much written about them, but the architecture is incredible. So I'm not picky.
Well, you did mention the option of being a vet earlier, but we always ask, what profession other than your own would you like to attempt? So even now, is there something else that you sort of think, I might quite like to have a go at something different?
Yeah, the only thing I'd probably say, so the vet was when I was younger, and then when I was kind of tossing up at university, when I was applying to university, it was going to be either criminal law or architecture.
Quite different. Okay, yeah.
Different. Well, quite different, but not necessarily, because there's that back to that kind of forensic and the research and that side of it. But it's quite interesting. I think, a lot of people I was speaking to said you could be really good at it, but it would have made you a lot harder person for it, kind of being in that environment. I think I would have enjoyed it. Again, it's something, okay, it's more behind a desk, but there's you're always dealing with different cases and things like that. So to me, that's what's always been important. I'm not doing the same thing day in, day out. So yeah, I think that side of things, the criminology and the forensics, would have possibly been my other way, but would I have had the stomach for it? I don't know.
You certainly look happy in architecture anyway, so it's definitely the right choice, I think. Yeah. This might be an odd one. What's the strangest request you've been asked to incorporate into a design?
Oof. That's a good question. I've had I've had some strange moments over the years. I'm trying to think about any strange requests. I've had moments where I've been in buildings with clients and they've said, "Oh, if I'm sitting on the loo," as they promptly go to sit on the our loo. Really? But has there been any strange requests? I've done some strange specifications as well, which some of my colleagues can't believe, and some of my masons really probably curse for. But I don't know, cow dung. It can be charge coat. So if you've got a historic building and a chimney's been very damp and there's a lot of soot coming through, you can't really get that soot out. You can't just suck it out. So there can always be staining coming through to the inner finish. But if you use a mix of cow dung and water to do like a purge coat over the wall, it works. Did the masons thank me? They had to go and get some of the freshest. What's the specification? I went on site when it was when they were applying it, and the smell was quite something. But you now go in the building and it's beautiful, and can you smell it? Nope. Has staining come through? No. So I think that again historically can be really quite exciting. You can come across some old tried and tested specifications, and I raised a few eyebrows doing it, but it worked.
Okay, question 6. What's the one common myth about your profession that you'd want to debunk?
What's the common myth? That's a good question. I had a client today that actually just said that he commonly doesn't like architects because he just feels that they want to put their design on the client, and that's thing that I'm really firmly against. I think to be a good architect, it's not about you or your arrogance. It's all about the client and the client's brief. And there may be times when you're talking about a historical building and the client doesn't want to do things or doesn't understand it, but you have to tell them that. But to make a good architect to me is if a client gives you a brief and at the end of the day you've delivered that brief, and the client, you can go back at the end of the rectification period 12 months later and the client's like, I absolutely love it. So happy. And that to me is the joy of the job. We there to give to them. Yes, we're to guide them and take them along the journey, but it's not for us to say this is what you must have. I think interestingly today, that client, that was his thought of an architect, and I think quite a few people can sometimes think that.
Okay, last question. You've done well. What is your must visit building or city?
Oh, good.
Do you have one that you could just go back to time and again?
Rome.
Yeah.
I just I've gone over there with my mother a few times. And I've taken her through the Palladium and all of this, and I've driven her mad. And like, one time I was there, she had to just go and sit under a tree because it was so hot. She's like, "Really, do we have to go around this again?" I said, "Yes." Because, yes, to me, that level of history, and I know the buildings, some of them are lost now or they're just remains, but I absolutely love it. I just get so much enjoyment of it. But don't get me wrong, I do love going to other cities and seeing lots of other buildings, but that's my kind of, I think there's so many cities in Italy that just you can spend hours in. And if no one's been to Pisa, go to Pisa and go up the Leaning Tower of Pisa, because it's quite something. You really do lean. You know? And you're going this way and then you're going that, and it quite realize until you've gone up it actually how much it's leaning.
Well, congratulations. You got through our 7 quick questions and it wasn't as bad as you thought it was going to be. So thank you once again for taking the time to speak with me this evening, and I hope that our viewers enjoy this episode of Elgin Museum in Conversation.
Thank you very much.